A hierarchy exists.
Correct. So I feel like everybody finds their own balance with their children. But
Hello and welcome back to Parenthood. I'm Neha, your host, and as always, I'm so thrilled to dive into yet another journey of parenting, resilience, and those little life lessons we gather along the way. Parenthood is a space where we go beyond the surface and talk about what it's really like to raise children while navigating the world. Here, every story, every parent, and every experience matter. Today's episode is a special one. Joining us is someone whose journey as a parent is as inspiring as it is unique. I'm talking about Karan, the regional marketing director at Duolingo. Yes, the team behind the app all come to know and love. He is also the partner of Dr. Reety, a leading scientist in molecular biology at CRISPR-Bits. Together, they share a bond that has beautifully evolved over the last 19 years. They're the proud parents of Ziyah, their 5-year-old daughter, and Karan describes his parenting journey as one of unlearning, discovery, and a lot of joy. So let's just jump right in and get to know Karan, his perspectives, and his journey a little better. Karan, welcome to Parenthood. I'm so glad you could join us today.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here.
All right, let's dive into something that might be a little challenging, but also a bit of fun. If you were to describe yourself using only 3 words or phrases that capture who you are, what would they be? And why would you choose those particular words or phrases?
Oh wow. Yeah. You're starting with a tough one. Uh, 3 words to describe me. Uh, oh wow. Okay, I would say I'd say leader. That's
Uh-huh.
one word I
Yeah.
would definitely use. Uh, the second word I would say this. I'm sure a lot of people will not agree, but I would say funny because I really think I'm very funny, even though a lot of people don't share that opinion. But I would say I'm funny. And the third would probably be I have to think. I've got two, but I have to think about choosing which one.
We can do with 4.
Yeah. No. Let me just think of yeah, I'd probably say, okay, leader, funny, and uh, I'd say reliable. I was
Uh,
going with reliable,
yeah.
consistent, but yeah, I'd probably say one of those two.
Yeah.
And if I can sneak in a fourth,
Yes, please.
uh, I'd probably say loyal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I think a very well-rounded personality, so to say, and the current that we've got to know over the years, summarized in those 5 beautiful words. And I have to know now, if your life was a storybook, what would be its title and where do you think you are in it currently?
Oh, wow, if my life was a storybook,
Yeah.
my life and other wild animals, I'd say it's probably going to be that. Yeah, I feel like it's been a very interesting journey, and I love animals. So
Mhm.
I feel like it's always been a pretty wild ride, especially with the kind of people I've always been with.
Yeah.
You never know what to expect, never know what you're going to get. So
Yeah.
I do feel there's always a certain element of uncertainty,
Yeah.
and it's like
And where are you
proceed with
right now?
caution.
Where are you right now in this? What chapter or which point in the story?
I'd say right now I'd probably be in this wonderful safari.
Mhm.
You're just exploring the joys of nature, and also I mean, to move away from this particular book example, I would probably say that this is a very beautiful stage for me because I feel, and I discuss this with Reety a lot, that you're a child and you grow, you learn a few things, and you grow up, and then you have a child, and then magically what happens is that you start reliving your own childhood through your
Yeah,
child.
yeah,
So, you take a lot of joy in explaining things which were explained to you. And so many times I'm having a deja vu
yeah,
about, hey, my dad taught me this, or
yeah,
my mom taught me this, or somebody else taught me this. And now I'm teaching the exact same thing to my daughter.
yeah,
So that's one amazing element of it. And the other is there are a lot of things, obviously, which, we've never had exposure to or which we never knew about, but our kid is learning that. And so we are
Right.
learning it along with the child.
Yeah.
And I think like that's something with Ziyah, that's my daughter's
Yeah.
name. That's something which Ziyah has brought into our life. So that's the chapter right now, I would say, where I am in broadly, where I feel there is just so much of wonder and amazement at the world.
Yeah.
And we are now at an age where, and we've kind of known each other when we
Yeah.
were the wide-eyed, we will conquer the world.
Yeah.
For context, Neha and I were in the same MBA college together.
Yeah.
This is for your viewers slash listeners. And
Thank
so,
you.
we went from there to to being very cynical, I would say,
Right.
over
Yeah.
the last decade and a half. I mean, we've been at it for the last 15 years. So you see the world, you see the world in a very different light. You're out there hustling every day. And so you tend to get a little bit cynical. But the minute you have a kid,
Yeah.
the cynicism just kind of washes away. And what you're
Yeah.
left with is the perspective of a kid
Yeah.
watching the world. And so you kind of also embrace that perspective and you're like, oh yeah, things are not so bad.
Yeah.
You start seeing beauty in a lot of the things that you ordinarily would just. I'll give you an example, right? I pick up Zia from her school
Yeah.
every day. So I work from home. So and school is like a 5-minute walk from here. So I pick her up from school. And we'll be walking, we'll be talking, and she'll just stop and she'll just bend down and she'll pick up a leaf.
Yeah.
And she'll say something like, today's the best day of my life because I found this leaf.
Wow, I'm having goosebumps.
You know what I mean, right? Like
Yeah.
it's suddenly you're not just walking, it's not commute, it's not just picking up your kid and dropping
Yeah.
her home and then getting back to work. Suddenly you just open your eyes like, oh yeah, I wonder what else I can find to make her day even better.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
that is something which I have never, maybe when I was 5, this would
Yeah.
happen to me. But after that, it never happened to me. And so to be able to relive that
Yeah.
is such an amazing thing.
Yeah.
I'm truly grateful for that. Truly, truly grateful for that.
So beautiful, this perspective. I'm sure like I'll get there when I get there, but it just makes me feel so glad that I have a kid to experience that with then when the time comes, because this is something every day with a child is so much love, so much fun, so much joy in life that you find, more and more. So I'm just looking forward to reaching there and in the process enjoying what I have for now. But yeah, but thanks for sharing that with us, Karan. And now let's talk about your family now that we are there. So, starting with Reety, tell us about her. And you've been together for almost 2 decades now. That's like a lifetime and more. So, how did you do to meet, and what's kept you two together stronger, over the years? What's the secret ingredient, if there is one?
Yeah, so I'll start with the first part, right? So I've known Reety for many, 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 many years. She was my college sweetheart. Uh, she was my senior in college, actually, and we were part of this really nerdy group in college called the Magazine Committee. And so we'd write and publish a magazine, and a bunch of like 7, 8 really passionate kids. And yeah, so I met her there. Very, very good friend of hers. In fact, I held off asking her out because I felt if she'd say no to me, I'd lose her as a friend. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'll find another girlfriend, but I'll not find another friend like her. Like that was the couple of days before she was leaving college. And I mean, it was just like unspoken. I guess she also reciprocated my feelings. And shortly after that, she went to the US to do her
Uh-huh.
PhD.
Yeah.
So we had a long distance relationship for 5 years.
Wow.
This is the time when I was in Micah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there will be tons of time that I'll be doing like,
Yeah.
calls in the middle of the night or some other time of the day. And this was before WhatsApp and
Yeah.
FaceTime. And so it was Skype essentially, right? So bad network and stuff like that. But we still managed to I still wonder how, but we didn't manage to make it work. And then after that, Reety got back after doing her PhD. She incidentally, she did a PhD in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is the city where Duolingo was founded.
Yeah.
And after doing her PhD in 2011, 2012, she asked me, "Do you want to come to Pittsburgh?" I said, "What am I going to do in Pittsburgh? There's nothing for me to do there." And then when I got the offer from Duolingo, she was like, "Where is the company based out of?" I said, "Oh, Pittsburgh." She's like, "Yeah, okay. You did find something to do over there."
Yeah.
So so she came back to India and she got a job. So she's a scientist, she's a molecular biologist, opposites attract. And so she got a job at NCBS. And that's the time when I got promoted to the marketing team in Titan. I was working with
Yeah.
Titan. That was my first job out of college. And so
Yeah.
both of us moved to Bangalore because Titan head office and NCBS, National Center for Biological Sciences,
Yeah.
based out of Bangalore. And that's where we, finally started to spend some time together.
Yeah.
Spent about 6 months together and then got married. The whole big fat Punjabi wedding.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, it was an interesting time because I felt like after marriage there are a lot of adjustments,
Yeah.
which everybody has to make.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of has comes with its own sets of ups and downs. But I guess if you really really love somebody and you are really invested, you manage to make it work. And I feel like when you ask me what is the secret ingredient, I don't think there is a secret ingredient. I think we try to make it like very simple by saying that there is one ingredient and that's
Yeah.
all that you're missing. I feel like it's a whole like cuisine,
Yeah.
like you're like making Indian food, no? It's like chicken tandoori and paneer and this and like you have to have everything ready. So you need to know everything,
Yeah.
or at least you need to be open to experimenting.
Yeah.
Because I do feel that it is like you need to. It's like growing a plant, right? It's like
Yeah.
nurturing like a relationship is like that. I feel where you have to constantly be at it, and you can never say now I'm done.
Yeah.
Just by I
Yeah.
mean, in a plant, if it's a tree, you can probably still do that, but
Yeah.
you can't do that with a person. And so it is something that you have to constantly uh, keep at it. You have to constantly understand that because the needs also change, right? We're not the same people that we were just talking about this. We're not the same people 15 years ago. We
Yeah.
will probably not be the same people that we are 10 years later.
Yeah.
So, it's also kind of funny. You get married and then you change.
Yeah.
And you'll not obviously change the same, right?
Yeah.
You're not become brothers and sisters in that sense,
Yeah.
right? Like sub soch ekdam jaise like, and if you are fiercely independent, like both of us are, you would have like very different paths of growth.
Right.
And so what you need at the age of 30 versus what you'll need at the age of 45 will be wildly different.
Yeah.
And so the work is to understand that
Yeah.
and then be ready to provide that or to ask for it. Because a lot of times you don't even ask for it because you're like, you should understand that I need this, or
Yeah.
I would expect this that you should know. But no, you should also ask for it and you should also be ready to give it. So I guess that's probably the bedrock
Yeah.
of our relationship, like that understanding that listen, we are bound to change as human beings, and that's great. You
Yeah.
should, like,
Yeah.
why should you just stay constant like in a time warp when everything else around you is changing and moving so fast? So yeah.
Yeah.
And then
But
5 years ago we had Ziyah,
yeah. Yeah.
and that was an absolutely incredible moment. I was crying, very, very emotional. And yeah, like I know it's a lot of people talk about that one particular moment, but for so like Zia was in a crib right after one, I put my finger down there and she
Oh.
held on to it. So I took a photograph of it also. I think that was like sealed the deal. I'm like, okay, done. Like
I'm yours, baby.
all
Yours.
all identities are now, like
Taken a back seat.
gone.
Yeah.
Father, that's Karandeep Singh Kapany, father, and that's it, right? Like everything else is now taken a back seat. So that was really really an emotional moment for me. And uske baad to, matlab, after that was one wild ride because you're just not prepared, right? Nobody is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just us, but nobody is prepared. I mean, I guess if it's your second, third, you're probably in a better space. But for your first one, to yaar, kuch nahi pata hota. And you've got like tons of conflicting advice coming in from
Spices and
everywhere.
everybody is Gyani and
और तुम कुछ ना कुछ तो गलती कर रहे हो, राइट? बिकॉज तुम लाइक ऐसे नहीं करते, ऐसे गर्मी लग जाएगी, सर्दी लग जाएगी, एसी ऑन कर दो, पखा ऑफ कर दो, क्या मतलब व्हाट टू डू एक्चुअली एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, राइट? But again, I will like to call out, and I probably do this many times over this podcast. I would like to call out that I think Reety is extremely amazing at some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like her instinct, and I'll
Mm.
not say maternal instinct because then
Yeah.
they're just pushing it on. Ki, acha, acha,
हाँ.
maternal instinct bhi hota hai. But like I would just say that she, as a scientist, no, this is her way of approaching things. She reads a lot. She
Yeah.
will do her research. She will like at times I get irritated because she just keep forwarding me these Instagram पे मतलब I'm like कि क्या
Yeah.
Instagram scientist बने हुए हैं क्या है ये? But then you realize in hindsight, a lot of times in hindsight for me, that yeah, she was right. Like
Yeah.
this was actually the right thing to have done, and thank God
Hmm.
that I was not very obstinate. Little obstinate I still was, but not very obstinate. And I listened to her. So yeah, I would give her a lot of the credit,
Yeah.
especially in the initial phase, because I was like, what is this thing? This, matlab, she's lying on the bed. She doesn't talk. She can't play. And I'm like an
Yeah,
active
what do
person.
we do with this?
हाँ मतलब क्या करूँ क्या मतलब like अभी ठीक
Yeah.
है, she's cute, she's lovely, and but they're very delicate at that age, right? Like
Yeah.
and they cling on to their moms a lot because that's
Yeah.
their safe space. So I understand all of that, but I'm like, okay, now I
What
want to
do
be
I do?
what do I do? So that was like an interesting thing. And I realized that when she started speaking or when she started moving around, that's when I kind of got a lot more, I was a lot happier because I was like, oh, now we can like, let's throw a
Yeah.
ball, let's kick a ball, let's play something, let's
Yeah.
talk, let's like tell us stories and stuff like that. So I feel like after that, like धीरे धीरे involvement got
Hmm.
otherwise I'd be like on the edge, like बताओ क्या करना है, बताओ क्या करना है,
हाँ.
because I didn't know what to do.
And would
But
she
yeah,
get irritated with that? Like, बताओ क्या करना है? तुम्हें नहीं पता क्या करना है?
of course, of course, of course. And it's true also, right? Again, this is one of those things, right? Like where the first time you're very underprepared. But I'm not saying this as an excuse because she was as
Yeah.
underprepared as me in that sense, but she still managed to figure it out. I'd say if I could go back, I'd probably say I could probably be a little bit more open about, reading some things and seeing, okay, if I couldn't support the kid, how could I better support Reety at that time, right?
Yeah.
Also, things weren't made easy at that time. I was working for another organization which had a 5-day uh,
Oh,
पैटर्नल लीव,
leave.
5 दिन की। और मैंने
Hmm.
जब एचआर को बोला कि क्या है, तो अरे सैटरडे संडे इधर है, सैटरडे संडे इधर है, तो 9 दिन हो गया। मैं कहा अरे
Huh.
बाबा 9 दिन। एंड इन डुओलिंगो it's a 6 month paternal leave, and
Wow.
I'm so happy
Do
that
you do you want to do it again?
just for a 6 month paternal leave,
Yeah.
no, thank you, Neha. No, I probably have to have a better reason than a 6 month paternal leave. But no, no. But I do appreciate the fact that a company is giving a 6 month paternal leave
Yeah.
because I feel like there is just so much help that a person can. So Reety delivered Ziyah in her house in Delhi. She's from Delhi.
Yeah.
Uh, and like she had a ton of support from her family at that
Yeah.
time, right? I'm very grateful for that. And for me, it was like I'd come every weekend, I'd be in Delhi, Saturday, Sunday, or yeah, whatever you say, right? उससे नहीं होता है. You
Hmm.
can't really give it your all because you're there almost like 2 दिन हो वापस आ रहे. For the first 6 months, it was all Reety and I was just like visiting basically. And 6 months is like, if you think about it, it's very short, but if you think about it, it's a really long time,
Very.
right? When
Yeah.
you're seeing your husband like just like 3 times a month, maybe. So till that time, I think it was a bit tough. But after 6 months is when I think her first Diwali is right after Diwali. We went to Delhi and Chandigarh, and then right after that we came uh, uh, to Bangalore.
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure if it was 3 months or 6 months. I think it was 3 months, not 100% sure. मेरे को भी याद है
Half
दिवाली
the
कब
time,
थी।
but still very long.
Half the time. But yeah, still like 3 months is also like, I don't like spending like even 2 days away from her now. But yeah. So when she came to Bangalore is like when, I think we really bonded. I was there. Physically, I
Yeah.
was there, right? And then right after that, COVID happened. We
Yeah.
went on one trip. We went on one trip. We went to Goa. That was Reety's birthday. So February, we went to Goa, February 2020. Diwali 2019 is when we got Ziyah home. 2-3 महीने घर पे आराम से थोड़ा सांस लिया.
Settle.
February we went to Goa. And we were like talking with our friends, कि अरे कुछ तो virus है, पता है, सुना तुमने, have you read? And that was like, oh, did you read that news about this virus in
Yeah.
China and all that? And then we came home around February 22nd, 23rd, and 1st March, I think, was Bharat Bandh. And
I
I
think
say
it was
30th March. 30th March.
23rd March was when,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, around
because
that
people
time.
got married and I got home and the next day was lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
Nakul
crazy.
was stuck in Shimla for his honeymoon.
I mean, ठीक है, no, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, not, I wouldn't complain too much about that also. Stuck in Shimla is not like the worst place to be stuck, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, so yeah, scared lockdown, and that was like a whole different story altogether.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I think we all experienced that, like people with kids around the COVID time, COVID babies, as they were called.
Hmm.
The advantage of that was that I was home.
Yeah,
Uh, so that was like a big thing because everybody was home, तो घर से काम कर रहे हो, तो like all of us were able to just devote a lot more time to our kids, which
yeah.
ordinarily you were not able to because you're like a weekend dad or a weekend mom.
Hmm.
So that 2 years, 2.5 years, I was able to devote, and I'm very, very grateful to have had that time.
Yeah,
Uh, and then, yeah, उसके बाद फिर like then Duolingo happened. I got an amazing opportunity, and they were also work from home at that time, so just kind of carried on. So yeah, so I mean, I still get to spend a lot of time with Zia. I still manage to pick her up from school, and those are very special moments. Like
yeah,
Reety drops her, I pick her up. So those are very special because you get to hear how your kid's day was. You get to
yeah,
read body language, see who her friends are, how she is with them.
yeah.
Like I'll go to pick her up and she's like, no, I'm not going to leave till XYZ comes. I
Yeah.
only will go on when she's back because I promised her. Those small
Oh,
things are very endearing. And
yeah,
so it's a it's really nice to be able to see some of those things. And what I have seen in my experience, and I may be wrong, is that around the age of 7, 8, 9, maybe 10, maybe
mm,
11, 12, if you're lucky, I don't know. Kids don't really want to hang out with their parents.
yeah, yeah.
We,
That's
we
what I keep
suddenly
hearing.
Yeah, so basically it's only now
Yeah,
that they really want to spend time with you. They think you're
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
After this, you'll be the opposite of whatever is
yeah,
cool, right? Like you're the most
yeah.
stay away and all of that. So I just feel कि यार यही 2-3 साल है, मतलब और जितना भी टाइम मिलता है जिसमें आप
Loot lo.
uh, हाँ, basically get whatever you can out of it, right?
Yeah,
Like enjoy as much as you possibly can.
yeah,
It's not going to come back again.
yeah,
Like it might, at least not in this way, right? In that cute,
yeah,
like
yeah,
endearing, innocent way of theirs, where you are their world. You are practically their world right now.
yeah,
And that's only they're going to grow up, right? Like the
yeah,
same thing happened with us, right? Like
yeah,
our parents were the world for us till the one day when
yeah,
they weren't, and friends happened. It's not like you stop loving your parents. It's
yeah.
just that there are
But
so
not
many
in
other things in
the
the world.
same way. You don't cling to them. You don't.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's just like it keeps changing over a period of time, and so you should just like enjoy this because this phase, I feel,
yeah,
uh, you know, when kids are probably a little bit older, you can always have a different equation with them. I know a lot of people like, who are friends with their parents. Like
yeah,
I would say I'm also very friendly with my parents. Like I've got a
yeah.
very good relationship in the sense of like being very frank and open when I'm talking with them. And a lot of parents have like a very, थोड़ा हम माँ बाप हैं,
Huh,
तो
huh. Yeah. That
आदर करो.
hierarchy exists.
हाँ, correct, correct, correct. So I feel like everybody finds their own balance with their children. But yeah, so that's basically been so
Yeah.
far.
So talking about Zia, tell us something about her. Maybe some fun facts about her. What is she like? She's 5 now, is she?
She's fine. She's fine. She turned 5 a couple of months ago. What do I tell you about Zia, man? She's amazing. She's really, really nice. She's very fun. She's super goofy. She's very how do I put it? She can be very naughty when the mood
Uh-huh.
strikes her, but she's all. I mean, I think a lot of parents will say this about the kid, but I feel like she's got a heart of gold. Like,
Oh,
she's just uh extremely thoughtful. Like sometimes she'll just say things which just melt your heart, and you're like, oh my God. this kid needs to be protected from the world at all costs, like it's almost like that. And she's very observant. That's one thing
Mhm.
which I've realized, that she notices things, she
Mhm.
files them in her brain, and then she'll bring it out at a time when you're least expecting it, and you're like, oh shoot, I need to be very careful
Yeah.
about it. And see,
Yeah.
the other thing with kids is that they're very literal at this age.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't make a mess in the room. Okay, fine. You just
What
made a
did you
mess right
do?
now.
Oh.
You just made a mess right now. And the other thing about her is that, dude, she shuts me up in like no time. Like nobody's been able
Somebody
to do
does.
this.
At
And
least somebody does.
that's exactly what Reety says. That कोई तो है जो तेरे को चुप करा सकता है यार. मतलब my dad's given up, my wife's given. So like this one shuts you up in like half a second. And it's true. I'm not just saying it, but like she knows
Yeah.
exactly what to say, and I'll be like, huh,
Hmm.
good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll think about it. So yeah, so she does take a lot of pangas with me. She's very sporty. I'm very happy to see, she really enjoys gymnastics a lot. She calls it gymnastics. I'm going for my gymnastics class. And that's another thing, by the way. Look, earlier, I used to kind of correct sometimes, and she'd say some
Yeah.
words incorrect. I will now stop doing that because I'm like, ये तो वैसे ही ठीक कर ही लेगी.
Ah,
Let me just
let me
enjoy
just,
this.
yeah.
Let me just enjoy this cuteness, right? Just snapsticks or other stuff that she'll sometimes say. Uh, but yeah, she's quite sporty. She's very fond of cricket. Mithali Raj is her favorite cricketer. Virat Kohli, she loves. So we
Uh,
play cricket quite often, and she gets very upset when she's not hitting four sixes. Like she doesn't even want to hit a four.
wow.
She's
Great
got
success.
मतलब लप्पा मार रहे हैं और बाहर मार रहे हैं, नहीं तो मेरे
ये
को
तो
नहीं
हम
खेलना
नहीं
टाइप्स.
खेलेंगे.
हम नहीं खेलेंगे क्या बकवास. बॉल ही खराब करो तुम, कैसी बॉल डालो कि मैं सिक्स नहीं मार पा रही हूँ उस पे. So yeah, she's got an amazing vocabulary. I feel like for a
Uh-huh.
5-year-old, like, and she knows when to use what
What?
word. And I
Hmm.
think again, I'll give a lot of credit to Reety for this, because Reety has been like very, very particular about reading to her every night of her
Wow.
life so far.
Hmm.
मतलब चाहे थके हो, चाहे जिस मर्जी पोजीशन में हो, जो मर्जी हाल हो, जहां मर्जी हो, घर पे हो, बाहर हो, you're on a camping trip, whatever, you have to read a book, or we read at least now 5 books, 6 books at least, but
Yeah.
like at least a book has to be read before Ziyah goes to sleep. And I think that really contributes a lot in shaping a child's language.
Right.
And so she's got amazing vocabulary, something which I feel, and I'd say she's got amazing comic timing.
That I think she gets from you.
I hope so, really, because I am funny, right? Like I said
Yeah.
right at the start.
Yeah. And
So so yeah, she's got amazing comic timing. Like
yeah.
really, she.
And how would you say is the dynamic in your household, Karan? Like, are there some unique, not unique, I mean, every family's structure is unique, but are there some rituals or things or traditions that you guys do together that makes your family like, a little more richer? And what is it like?
Hmm. That's a great question, by the way, yeah, I think.
Thank you.
Uh, so I feel like there are a few things that we do, which I feel a lot of people also do, but I feel like it's very
Yeah.
core to our
Yeah.
family in that sense. I feel like uh, we do a lot of trips together, like these
Uh-huh.
weekend trips. Again, uh, hashtag Reety. I think I should just like, you should have like special effects, Reety all over stuff. But like, yeah, Reety likes trekking and hiking a lot. She likes being out in nature. So she finds these amazing places.
Uh-huh.
और महीने में एक बार ही तो हम लोग ट्राई करते हैं कि लॉन्ग वीकेंड हो कुछ हो तो we'll get out
Wow.
and spend some time there. And I'm very I like my comforts. So
Yeah.
I've had to kind of have like one level lower expect, because I was like, यार रूम सर्विस नहीं है और एसी नहीं है तो मैं नहीं जा रहा हूँ. मतलब it used to be
हाँ.
like that. Now I'm like, हाँ चलो ठीक है, अगर थोड़ा दूर जाके रहना है तो चल लेंगे, थोड़ा क्या कर सकते हैं, it's okay. But because of that, Zia is incredibly fond of nature.
Yeah.
She just, like I was telling you, that leaf thing, pick
Yeah.
up a leaf, and also so she can spend a lot of time just being outdoors, looking at broken trees and वहाँ पे fungus, mushrooms,
Yeah.
or like finding some dead, cockroach and like spending 5 minutes over there, spending time with that, insect.
Yeah.
She'll handle earthworms very
Yeah.
around. So you just put it in her palm and she'll be like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
amazing. She
Yeah.
loves playing with mud. We like to garden quite a bit. So she always helps us out in gardening. We try as much as possible to involve her in our household tasks. So
Yeah.
like, something as simple as folding laundry,
Yeah.
मटर छीलने हैं,
Hmm.
gardening कर रहे हो, पत्ते उठाओ जाके. As much of that as possible.
Yeah.
सफाई हो रही है तो चलो you also lend a hand and help
Yeah.
out with the chores. And we want to do this more and more and more
Yeah.
because we don't do too much of screen time.
Yeah.
We've allowed her only like half an hour every week.
Yeah.
So
Half an hour
Saturday,
every week?
every week,
Wow.
yeah, that's
That's
right. So like,
incredible.
हाँ अभी अभी उतना ही रखा है इसका और like Saturdays are watch day तो उसका कुछ she loves Bluey. For the
Uh-huh.
longest time she was on this trip of watching that movie. I'm forgetting the name. मैं कुछ 500 बार ही देख ली होगी यार वो.
Frozen?
No. Frozen, we've not. She doesn't like. Thankfully. No, this is that. How can I forget the name of this movie, man? Uh, Insane. Complete brain freeze moment happening right now, I'll tell you.
No
This
worries.
is this is the one which is Luca, yeah, Luca. Have you watched Luca?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she loves it. Like I every weekend for a period of time, we were just watching parts of that movie. And then she would
Wow.
have like, I just want to watch this one. I only want to watch when Julia comes. I only want to watch when the race is happening. I only want to watch when this moment is happening. So now like she's 5, so now we are trying to say, okay, Chal, you know what, we should do like movie nights together. So once a week,
Yeah.
all three of us will watch a movie. So Inside Out or Madagascar or stuff
Yeah.
like that, we'll watch that. So I think this is like one of those rituals you could say.
Yeah.
Like watch day is important, or spending time with mom dad is super important like that. I'd say another thing that we do quite often is like just go to Kapany Park.
Uh-huh.
Sunday को चले जाओ वहाँ पे कुछ भी नहीं है, like you just go there, hang out. Very cool people at Kapany Park. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this week we were there and there was this really cool activity happening called the Sonic Picnic.
Uh-huh.
और वहाँ पे uh, there are these people who were basically listening to stories. So very interesting idea. They go around Kapany Park, talk to people about what Kapany Park means to you, and everybody
Yeah.
narrates a story, recorded the stories. Now I will give you that a list of those stories. Neha will select one story, and then whatever it means to Neha, she will draw it,
Uh-huh.
trace it on a cloth, and then stitch it.
Ah.
And then they will take all of these stitched
Yeah.
pieces, combine
And they
it
will.
together, make an interactive art piece. So you touch it and you will hear parts of that story.
Wow.
So felt like a very cool. We didn't register for it. We just landed there and they were doing it, and we said, "Hum kar le." And they said, "Haan, of course, aa jao." And then Ziyah goes to a Montessori school, and so she is doing what she calls weaving in the
Mm-hmm.
school. So she was super excited because basically cross stitch wala kuch scene chal raha tha udhar, and she was happily doing that. So I
Yeah.
think it's these small things that we try to do as much as possible,
Yeah.
that make all the difference. Because for a kid, like we don't prefer going to malls. We don't go for like
Yeah.
movies with her. She doesn't really care about. पूरा साउथ इंडियन बच्चा है हमारा, कहता है कि यार we go to like a fancy place and she's like मेरे को इडली खानी है घी के
Ah.
साथ. So we're like, okay, fine. Then like we go to and we love
Actually,
the South Indian breakfast is like
yeah.
amazing. So Saturday, Sunday is like, we go to this place called the Filter Coffee in Bangalore.
Yeah.
Masala dosas, kesri bhat, filter coffee, sorted. So yeah, there's all these small things, man. I think these are the things which truly matter, which become like your core memories,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
as opposed to.
Yeah, I'm also very interested to know, Karan, about the kind of, the entry, your entry into parenthood. Like we have talked about what it has meant to you after becoming a father, but how was it, taking, what was it like? Did you always wanted to have kids? And did you always want to, like father a daughter, that kind of a thing? How was it like earlier? And how did you decide that, okay, and you've been with Reety for 19 years, and I'm guessing 15 of which are married, or 10 of which are married to her, and you decided to have Ziyah 5 years back. So how was that like? What made you uh, go into this parenting mode? And was that Was that transition easy for you, or how was it like?
Hmm. Uh, so yeah, so I think both of us come from families where we had like siblings. So I have an
Yeah.
elder sister. She's the middle kid. She's got an elder sister, younger brother.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, it was fairly clear that yeah, we'll have kids at some point of time.
Yeah.
We're not in any rush really. Uh, but we both were very clear that we would want to have kids at some point of time in our
Yeah.
life. Uh, I never really had like a very strong preference for either a boy or a girl. Like yeah, as long as the kid is happy, healthy,
Yeah.
like उससे क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है. Uh, and I think when we had Zia, uh, like and after that, like maybe just a bias or whatever, I'm like, yeah, daughters are
The
clearly
best.
miles. Like I was this time when I was in Chandigarh a few weeks ago, I was talking to my sister, and me and my sister had this running thing, right? Which is that who's our parents' favorite? But she'll be
Yeah.
like, I am, or like, no, I am, and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking about my dad, and like how I would say like I'm his favorite, and she'd be like, oh, I'm his favorite. And they start talking to me like, listen, after being a father of a daughter, there is no way a son can even be in the same picture. Forget competing. मतलब वो बात ही नहीं है यार मतलब तुम जो मर्जी कर लो it's not even close so I'm like yeah we can put this to rest now but like yeah I mean daughters are amazing and girls generally I feel are so much I mean at the cost of being slightly politically correct
Script.
politically incorrect hardly but I mean so see it's like I just feel like girls are far more intelligent like
Hmm.
like miles ahead in terms of emotional intelligence, in terms of understanding things, in terms of understanding the situation, in terms of how they behave. And boys are, and I think there's a scientific reason. Again, this is one of Reety's
Hmm.
thing, which he found that from the age of 4 to 6, boys have this surge of testosterone in their bodies, which is why they act like absolute, sorry to say, but jerks. But you know how it would.
I'm sorry to intervene, but I'm so conflicted right now because I am a girl and I am a boy mom, and
Yeah.
I think boys are the cutest. So
Uh, I
yeah,
guess there's also this whole thing, right? Like fathers and daughters, mothers and sons. There's also
yeah,
that little bit of thing which plays out over here. So I
yeah.
guess that's something. But like generally, and we try to be as gender neutral
Hmm.
while bringing Zia up in the sense that it's not like pink everything
Yeah,
or
and princesses and
dolls. It's not.
unicorns. Yeah,
हमने अपनी तरफ से कुछ नहीं किया ऐसा, but unfortunately, we live in a society where some of
yeah,
those stereotypes are very prevalent, and so without it coming from us, she is still exposed to some of that
yeah.
outside,
Because
right?
you
So
live in that kind of
yeah, you
system.
can't live, yeah,
Yeah,
you can't live in isolation of the world
yeah,
that we are living in. So it is part of that. But irrespective of that, also, I still feel like, you have Zia's friends coming over. And again, I'm generalizing a little bit over here,
yeah,
but only
yeah.
only a little bit I'm generalizing. You'll have uh you'll have Zia's friends are all girls and they'll be it's not like they'll just be sitting and doing nothing. They'll also be having a great time running around and all. But the general uh, chaos level in the house is manageable. You introduce a couple of boys in the picture, and oh my God, it's like my house is going to just collapse on me while I'm sitting typing an email. It's almost to that point. So I feel like uh, it's a little uh, yeah. I'm very happy that I have a daughter, uh, and I just feel like it's just such a and I mean, apart from that, like if she would make a lot of noise and create chaos, also that's fine. I have a feeling that I'll probably then be like, yeah, it's okay.
Huh.
तू कर जो तेरे को करना है types. But yeah.
Yeah, and you've talked about, how you have evolved over the years after becoming a father and how you have started opening your eyes up to things probably which weren't visible to the eye, or we had kind of let go of that part of us, the child in us. Is there some kind of unlearning that has happened over the years since becoming a parent?
Oh yeah, 100%. You were talking about transition, right? So
Yeah,
like that's the biggest transition I feel that
yeah,
एक तो the minute you have a kid, you have to, I mean, this happened fairly naturally for us, I feel. But it is also it's good to probably have this understanding that the child is the center of the universe,
Yeah.
essentially, right? So you have to put yourself also at a little bit of a,
Back, front.
yeah, yeah, back foot or whatever you want to call that. So that is something which does take a little bit of, you can't, I mean, just let's like you can't go out and enjoy like a party till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, you can if you want to. A lot of
Yeah.
people do that, and I'm not judging them. I'm just saying that I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to do some other things at some point of time,
Yeah.
but I can't. And it's not like I'm saying, oh no, I wish I could, but I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
I'd much rather spend my time with my daughter,
Yeah.
or like that gives me that goes back to the same thing I was saying earlier, right? That this is the only time you'll probably have where the kid looks up to you like that. It's not going to come back again very easily. So वो जो उसको कई लोग sacrifice बोलते हैं, कई लोग बोलते हैं कि हाँ this is the way it is, कई लोग just take it in the stride, however you look at it. But I do feel like that is a big transition for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
that's something I feel like Reety and I were fairly well aligned on,
Mm-hmm.
that this is priority number one. Everything else comes after this. And so it's okay. And I mean, I've seen this, my personal experience, that yeah, those first few years are tough. And then after that, you
It
get
just
back to,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you also change as people. Yeah, like the idea of spending a night at 3 a.m. in a pub dancing is also not as appealing to me anymore as it probably was maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So like I said, we all change as people, right? So
Yeah.
I think that transition, it's like for some people like who can't let go or don't
Yeah.
want to let go of that identity of
Yeah.
themselves. Like I'm the last guy who leaves the table.
Yeah.
बोतल खत्म नहीं हुई मैं कैसे जा सकता हूँ type.
Right.
Like if that identity of yours you don't want to let go, I feel थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है फिर. Like then that's where you feel that, oh, I'm making way too many changes to my
Yeah.
life.
And I also feel that, sometimes the things that we let go of they kind of open up spaces for those kind of meaningful growth that comes along.
Yeah,
As you said, we are human beings, we keep evolving. And I think it's just very, very unilateral to see that as letting something go, not,
yeah,
getting something on in
yeah.
that sense.
Agree,
Yeah.
absolutely. And yeah, it's also like I feel, again, this is not a rule. A lot of the things that I'm saying might appear like prescriptive or like judgy, but I'm just talking from my frame of
Yeah.
reference, like from
Yeah.
I see my friends, I see my like. I mean that's where I'm coming from. So I just want to say,
Yeah.
so a lot of everything, I'm not saying it, but in my opinion, should be added before everything I say.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I feel like a lot of this has to do with like if you probably like don't have a lot of time together as a couple
Yeah.
before having a kid, I feel like maybe it gets a little tougher for you
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that you might feel that I did not get to enjoy that part of my life.
Yeah.
Uh, as opposed to having a little bit of that time and then experiencing a lot of this stuff and
Yeah.
then saying, I've had my fill.
Yeah.
I have passed out at many bars.
Yeah.
वो
Yeah.
कोटा हो गया
Certainly,
मेरा अभी.
हाँ.
कर लिया ट्रैवल कर लिया.
What's
वी
next?
हाँ रोमांटिक डिनर्स हो गए वो सब हो गया अभी नेक्स्ट क्या करना है. Then it probably is just like easier to accept in your own head.
Yeah.
uh it just that's my experience
Yeah.
so far. I feel like yeah, just easier than.
Yeah. And looking at your current life, Karan, balancing a high profile role at work, being a partner, a parent, brother, son, friend, all of the roles that you play in life, where do you find yourself in this journey as a person? How do you manage to keep it all together?
You assume that I managed to keep it all together.
That's let's go with that.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that. No, yeah, it's very tough. I think it's tough for everybody. All of it's very like yesterday. I saw this one YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
Uh, YouTube short देखा एक उसका Tom Hanks का, and in
Mhm.
that he's 65, or at least he was when they shot that thing. And he's like, I have got way less stress at 65 than when I had. I like the worst age to go back for me would be like 35 because there was just so much stress, so much pressure. work, career, family, kid, like so much stress. And now, like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm in this. So I feel like this is an age which is
Yeah.
stressful for us. To be very honest with you, I feel like I don't multitask very well. So I know like
Yeah.
there are these two things which I do, like which I have to do, which family, for example, right, comes first. Work, very important for me. So I prioritize this over a lot of the other things.
Yeah.
So, for example, friends. Like
Yeah.
I'm not in touch with my friends as much as I would want to,
Yeah.
right? Every friend, I mean, I'm talking to you after such a long time, right?
Yeah.
Every friend that I talk to is like, "Arey, such a long time.
Yeah.
बात नहीं हुई, ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ." And there are some people I know who, in spite of having the same kind of pressure that I have, are very good about keeping in touch. They'll know what,
Right.
like they'll be in contact. And I'm a fairly social person, so ऐसा भी नहीं कि I'm
Yeah.
some introvert who's like, oh my God, I would rather not mess. I'm a fairly social person, but in spite of that, I'm not able to find the time to talk. So it's not like it's what I said, right? Like I've had to make a choice between saying, okay, fine, I can do these two things. I'll have to let go of
Yeah.
these three things. अगर मैं सब कुछ करूँगा तो I'll go mad. I
Yeah.
can't do everything. So,
Yeah.
so from my perspective, it's just that focus on the one or two very key things.
Yeah.
Everybody else will have to understand. क्या कर सकते
Yeah. Yeah. And with everything that you do, Karan, is there a typical day that you have? What does it look like? And are there some routines or things that you do that keep you grounded? Like, as you said, you don't multitask very well. So, are there routines? Do routines help you?
Yeah, routines help me, but I'm also like fairly open to being flexible. Like I'm not somebody who's stuck on a routine, and I'll have like a big issue if things are not going as per plan. Like
Yeah.
if everything is going as per plan, in fact, I start questioning the plan. I'm like, something
Yeah.
is definitely wrong here.
Yeah.
It cannot be so smooth. Because
Yeah.
I'm not such a good planner also, right? So I'm
Mhm.
expecting things to be like, हाँ कुछ तो. But I enjoy that. Like I feel like we live in a dynamic world. We live in an
Yeah.
ever-changing world. Everything can never be 100% planned. So you have to live with it. And the more you deal with certain things which can crop up, the better your skill also. Like you develop a muscle in
Yeah.
about dealing with things, right? So like that, I'm fairly flexible. But like a typical day would be waking up, try to go to the gym early in the morning, come back. Reety's are up or are getting up in that it's about 7:30. Wake them up. Uh, get Ziyah ready for school. Reety drops her. I start work at 9:30. I'll have a bunch of meetings early in the morning when I'm fairly sharp.
Yeah.
Uh, and then this goes on till I guess 12:30. I try to have an early lunch,
Yeah.
have my lunch, and then I take like an hour off
Yeah.
just to kind of decompress. And then I pick Ziyah up at about 2 o'clock. Come back, and that's when the second, like I spend about half an hour, 1 hour. I try, like if I
Yeah.
can push a meeting or something, or if it's I try to keep that slot a little free,
Yeah.
just so that I can spend time with her, have lunch with her,
Yeah.
talk to her. And then from about, I'd say about 3:30 onwards,
Yeah.
3:34 onwards, like the next set of meetings start. They go
Yeah.
on till about 6:30 p.m. and most agencies
Uh-huh.
then start winding up. And then I get like a little bit of a time in the middle to have like dinner.
Yeah.
So let's say around, I try to have an early dinner. So 5:30 and 6:30 के बीच में I try to have an early dinner.
Wow.
और हाँ उसका टाइम नहीं मिलता because उसके बाद फिर 7 onwards my US calls start. And
Uh-huh.
they go on till sometimes like on most days they go on till about 9 p.m.
Uh-huh.
So if I don't have an early dinner, then I'll have to have my dinner like really late. And that's not
Really
the
late. Yeah.
best. So then it goes on till about 9 p.m. And then I spend about half an hour just finishing up, sending Slack
Yeah.
messages, emails, and stuff like that. So it's a technically a 12-hour
Work shift in that sense.
work
But
shift, but
but
with like a couple of hours in the middle,
yeah,
which
yeah,
which I can kind of take off. But yeah, but it's hectic. I can say that it's quite hectic. The time difference gets to you after a point of
yeah,
time.
yeah,
It kind of gets to you.
yeah. Okay, now I want to ask you a fun one. You remember the first question I asked you, the three words that describe you? And
Yes.
if Zia were to describe you in three words,
Oh
what
God.
do you think she'd say? Would her answer be different from yours?
Yeah, of course, 100%. She'd say funny. She'd say funny. I think she thinks
Yeah.
I'm funny. I have to. Yeah, she'd say funny. I think she'd say I'm an amazing storyteller, the best storyteller in the world. Because I
Oh,
tell her, I make up stories and I tell her like whenever she wants it, I just uh, tell her a
cook up a
story.
story.
Huh?
Cook up
Sorry?
a story.
I'll just cook up a story. So we've got like a series. We've got series. It's complex. They're like storylines.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so
No.
there are like storylines, there are complicated narratives, there are certain so right now we are exploring this future where she and six of her friends are all living in the future on their own farms, and all the farms are right next to each other. And then
Wow.
people have adventures, and every story has like something to learn from it, because obviously. So these are complicated stories, and she expect
You
me to
should
come up.
start writing them down.
Yeah, I've been meaning to, but yeah, I've just not been able to find the time. But yeah, and she expects like, oh, now can you put a peacock in the story? Oh, I want a unicorn in the story. So suddenly, like we're talking about swimming in a river, and a unicorn now has to appear. So it does exercise my creative brain quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I'm happy. So
Yeah.
she'd say I'm a good storyteller. She'd say I'm funny, and she'd probably say that uh, I'm trying to. She'd probably say that I love eating curd.
Oh, wow.
Because she doesn't like curd, and she's a big problem because I love curd. I have curd by like I can have a bowl full every day. I have a bowl full every day. What else? She does think that uh, I'm quite silly. So she probably
Uh-huh.
use the word silly, but she thinks, and she'd be like, "Oh, this Karan, I tell you, such a silly boy." Every time she is a little, peeved, she says, "Oh, this Karan." And she'll roll her eyes like that, and I'm like, "Oh, bol le, beta, bol le."
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are some of the words she probably
And
used.
speaking of, how children see us, what's that one thing or maybe a couple of things about yourself that you hope Zia takes with her as she grows up?
I've given this a lot of thought actually.
Yeah.
I really hope that she is as assertive as I. I feel like that is something which is like everybody should be assertive, but I find that a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
And I also feel a lot of women aren't.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's seen as a very negative quality.
Yeah.
But I do hope that she is assertive. I feel like
Yeah.
that's something which I would really, really be happy if she picks that up, or
Yeah.
if she is assertive, if she is somebody who says, I am an assertive person. I would love that.
Yeah.
Uh, Apart from that, I would love for her to be like involved in sports
Yeah.
at whatever level. Like I don't expect her to be like a professional golfer or a professional. I'd love it if she is a professional golfer. That'd be amazing. But even if she's not,
You play
uh,
golf, right?
that's right, I play golf.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a professional golfer, but I couldn't make it. But I would love for her to play
Yeah.
uh, at some level, whatever level, even if it's for fun, but be a regular and a serious player of a sport.
Yeah.
Tennis, badminton, whatever it is that she wants to, because I feel like that's very good for you, both physically and mentally. Uh, and lastly, I'll be really happy if she has my sense of humor, because at least somebody will find me funny.
Great, great. Okay, Karan, I want to now talk about, how they say it takes a village, and I'm sure you'd agree. So tell me who's in your village, the people or support systems that help you manage parenthood and life in general.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It does take a village. Unfortunately for us, yeah, and for a lot of people around that COVID wala time now, we weren't really able to take advantage of a village.
Yeah,
Like, we both come from families which are more than happy to help, which are more than eager to help, and unfortunately, because of COVID, we were in Bangalore alone.
yeah,
And at that time, the mental thing was also right. You don't want to go
yeah,
home just because you feel like they are more at risk.
yeah,
You don't want to give something to them.
yeah,
And so like even that was like a big concern. Them traveling here was also like, no, no, you stay where you are safe, you don't want that time you're just thinking of the worst possible outcomes.
yeah,
So for us, I feel like we lost out on that part initially. Now obviously it's a lot better because we keep going home, our parents come over here. And so that's definitely there. But I guess like we've found a village
yeah.
here, and like this the building that I live in, we're very lucky because we've got the ground floor has got 5 families, four of which have got kids, and they're all
Wow.
roughly the same age, and it's like an open door policy in our house. So People are just walking in. We are walking in other people's houses. Everybody's super chill. It's you can trust them with your kids, and they can trust you with theirs. So I feel like that's very rare,
Yeah.
and they're all on the same ground level. It's not like Uber niche
Yeah.
hai, so
Yeah.
everybody's downstairs. So they basically got like this whole ground floor as their, you know,
Neighbor.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. So they run around, go from place to place. Sab chalta rehta. So I think that is kind of like a village. And plus, we're very lucky to also have Ziyah go to a beautiful school, which is very close by. So it's called the Earth School. And the
It's called
parents there, the Earth School. It's called
the
the
Earth
Earth
School.
School.
How beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a really nice school. It's a Montessori school. So a lot of the things for about Ziyah, which about her love for nature, stuff like that, kind of comes from that as well. So apart from whatever we do, school is amazing. So
Yeah.
that I think is like another extension of the village. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think parenthood isn't just about the support, but also about, the hard days and
Yeah.
the challenges. So can you think back to a moment when you felt particularly challenged or overwhelmed as a parent? And how did you work through that in that moment?
Every day, yaar. Every day you have these moments where you are overwhelmed and you're like, oh God, what do I do now? Like, it could be something as simple as, uh, you know, your Jia doesn't want to go to sleep. It's way
Yeah.
past her bedtime,
Yeah.
and she just doesn't want to go to sleep. What do you do then? Or she'll come and she knows I'm like a slight weak spot over here, but she'll be like, I want to play with you. Can I please play one last game with you? And like, oh puppy, how do you say no?
Yeah.
And then there's also this whole thing that you don't want to be the parent who is always the fun parent, because
Yeah.
then the responsibility of the rule enforcer goes to the other parent.
Yeah.
That's not fair at all, right? So we try to
Yeah.
avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah.
तो वो कई बारी मैं पे ट्राई करती है, कई बारी रीति पे ट्राई करती है, क्योंकि kids are smart. They
Yeah.
know one of them will have to crack,
Yeah.
and if neither of us cracks, तो then it's tough for both of us कि अब क्या करें. So like that happens every day almost, I feel. Uh, or when you have to define boundaries or set boundaries, and
Yeah.
kids generally don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that they don't like it, but sometimes they may not agree with those boundaries,
Yeah.
right? I feel like kids do really well when boundaries are there.
Yeah.
They, I think they need that direction. They need you to be a leader.
Yeah.
And not be like indecisive and like, हाँ मुझे भी नहीं पता exactly what to do. So they'll be like,
Yeah.
no, right then I know 5 candies today, like
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? So I feel like when they don't agree with the boundary that you set, they can be uh, it can be overwhelming for you.
Yeah.
Then you just like, there have been times when, I've just like given up, I've raised my voice probably, or I just like, hell with this, do whatever. But you can't do that, because a lot of times what I've now realized is, after Reety sending me 500 of those articles, is
Yeah.
that uh, the kid is not like, the kid is not trying to take out their anger on you. They're just having a hard time, right?
Yeah.
Like they are having
Yeah.
an exceptionally hard time. So by you, and you are the parent, you are the responsible adult, or at least you're supposed to be the responsible adult.
Yeah.
So you have to calm them down and you have to take charge of the situation.
Yeah.
You can't allow yourself to be affected by that situation, which is what all of us do. I mean, even Reety
Yeah.
does at
Yeah.
times, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to say it in
Yeah. Sound.
armchair.
Yeah.
Theoretically, this is what the kid expects you, but भाई साहब उस time तो फिर अलग situation होता है ना. So I feel like those are the times when you have to just constantly remind yourself that
Yeah.
diffuse the situation, you're the parent, take charge, control yourself. And the other thing is also like, you should, again, I learned this, uh, which is that don't take things personally.
Yeah.
Like if they're saying something, again, they're too young to understand, to sympathize, to empathize, to know what they're saying and how that impacts you. But they're just saying things.
Yeah.
It's like they're throwing stuff on the wall and see what sticks. And if you show them that this has impacted me, bas, fir to yahi I'm going
Yahi.
to use again and again and again. And so from that perspective, whatever they say, just it's like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
It is just slide off, because they love you. They're your heart, soul, whatever.
Yeah.
And so they're not being mean to you. They don't even know
Yeah.
how to be mean to you. They're just
Yeah.
saying stuff which comes to their mind. So don't take anything they say too personally.
Yeah. And is there something that Zia has said or done, maybe a small thing that has had a lasting impact on you, which is like, oh my God, wow.
Lots of things actually have, but I feel like I'm trying to think of, like I give you like a small example. I feel
Yeah.
like every time she'll say I love you,
Oh,
I melt. Like I'm like done deal, bro. Like I feel like that itself is like such a thing, right? I mean, it's the most unconditional love, uh,
yeah,
apart from what a parent can probably give you, is what a
yeah,
child can give you, right? Like
yeah,
parents love us unconditionally. Like
yeah,
uh, it's the same thing with a kid.
yeah,
So so I think that is it's very pure,
yeah,
right? Like there's no
yeah,
agenda, there's no nothing. It's very
yeah.
pure. But I remember like one thing which is like I used to tell her these stories all the time. And I feel like, theek hai, I'm like she wants a story, I tell her a story. But this one time I remember she was introducing me to a friend
Uh-huh.
and she held my hand and said, "This is my papa. He's
Huh.
the best storyteller in the world."
Wow.
I was like, all the awards, all the recognition, everything else that I have and may get in my life, excitement. This is
Oh,
it. If there's one thing I can be remembered for, it's this. That's it. Done.
oh, how sweet. And
So
now,
that was.
yeah, little advice for the past, Karan. Your past. If you are sitting across from your pre-parent self, is
Hmm.
there something that you would tell him now that you've been
Lots.
on the journey?
So many things I'll tell that. Like yeah, so many things. I'll say first of all, sleep as much as you want,
As much as you
as
can, as
as
much.
much as you
Yeah.
जितना सोना है सो ले अभी सो ले उसके बाद मुश्किल हो जाएगा not that you don't like first 2 years are tough उसके बाद it kind of normalizes but still
Mm.
it's not the same kind of sleep
Yeah.
that you can get so I would say sleep I'd also say like maybe read a little bit more or talk to more parents right like uh, be a bit more prepared
Mm.
about it and not go in with the spirit of it figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say that that's something that's important. Uh, Also, I'd probably say maybe talk a bit more about your like how you want to bring up a child with your partner,
Yeah.
with Reety, right? Because
Yeah.
you may assume that you got the same
Yeah. Yeah.
eye, because obviously, but it may be very different. Like, for example, like even schooling, right? Like
Yeah.
I've thrived in a very conventional school.
Yeah.
Reety went to a very unconventional school for her time. She went to
Vasant Valley.
Vasant
Yeah.
Valley in Delhi. She went to Vasant Valley, and it was a very unconventional school for her time. And then a choice of subjects. And I went to like a hardcore
Yeah.
study, and we see you. You don't study, you don't get good marks, you don't even exist for us from the
Yeah.
teacher's side, right? So like, and I was like, okay, but I did well.
Mm.
So it made me tougher. It made me, that's what life is. That's what the world
Yeah.
is. But then like I had a lot to like maybe understand about how education pedagogies work in
Yeah.
today's day and age, what kind of a child I want to bring to this world. Because
Yeah.
this is like where I say, right, I'm very thankful for Reety's perspective and a lot of the things, even though I may not agree with them at all, is
Yeah.
because if it would have been another person just like me or my thought process, we would have put her in a very conventional school and we would have lost out on all of this amazing, uh, you know,
Yeah.
experience that we are getting now. So,
Yeah.
and then the pressure kind of falls on her then, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because I am
Yeah.
taking the tried and tested route.
Yeah. Yeah.
हजारों साल से ये हो रहा है अब यही करेंगे types, right? But
Right.
she is the one who then has to then take the load
Yeah.
of figuring out a lot of the things.
And not just figuring out, I feel that, then also kind of, getting you on her side.
Yeah,
So,
to give myself credit because I should give some credit to myself also. I'm
yeah.
also somebody the fairly open. Like I'm not very rigid. Like
Yeah.
I am amenable to reason. So if I am presented with a very well thought out logical argument,
Yeah.
I will not have a very
Aversion to it. basically.
Yeah, I'm open to it. Like if you can convince me, sure. But again, that's like I'm not like some boss, no, you convince me and I will sponsor your idea or something like
Yeah,
that. Like it
yeah,
should not be like that. So I get it, but like if I'm presented with like a solid reason, I'm like, huh, okay, fair enough. That
yeah.
I'm open-minded like that, I feel.
Yeah,
At least I
I
like
think
to
for
think so.
people like Reety, because I kind of on a very very personal level I relate with what Reety goes through, because Siddhant and my partnership is also somewhere like that. Like he is much more radical in that sense, in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways he is not. And then I get tired that I just wish somebody got this. I
Hmm.
didn't have to present my argument, like
Yeah,
पहले तो
yeah,
study
yeah,
करो और उसके बाद फिर एक argument बनाओ, because you guys will have cross questions, you guys will
yeah.
have these things, and I'm like, why should I answer? I just wish
Absolutely.
you just got it, but क्या करें,
Absolutely.
तो है सो
And
है.
it's unfair on many levels, right? Because A, it's always or mostly the women
Yeah,
who have to convince
yeah,
the men, so to say, right?
yeah,
So it is quite unfair. Uh, it is also like you are not then dealing with it like a partnership, I
yeah,
feel.
yeah.
Uh, but
It's
like more.
yeah, there is that kind of dynamic.
The funny part is I understand all of that, but even now, if Reety presents something super radical, I'm like, no, why? Like, because I feel like I'm maybe this is just like a function of personality, maybe, or like I'd rather go with the tried and tested, whereas Reety is definitely a far more, radical is a good word that you used, or far more like
Yeah,
scientist there. She likes to do experiments.
yeah, yeah,
I guess she likes to have like something new. Also, I feel like we come from a very different way of looking at the world, where I see the world as mostly okay and she sees like, okay, this is a tough spot. There are so many
yeah,
things we need to change. The
yeah,
younger generation, needs to grow up better.
yeah,
uh, and like off late, I'm like I said, no, thoda वो late आती है अकल थोड़ी,
yeah.
तो off late I'm like, हाँ यार, point है. I
Hmm.
agree. So I think my learning from all of this has been that when she says something, to not outright
Dismiss.
uh हाँ, dismiss के अलावा भी मतलब not outright say like outright be unfavorable to it,
Hmm.
because there is a lot of thought which goes behind some of those things,
Yeah,
uh, and I don't have a better idea,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I might as well listen to the person who has a better idea.
Right, right. Okay, and finally, Karan, finally, if you could leave our listeners with one piece of wisdom or insight that encapsulates who you are and what matters to you the most in this parenting journey, what would that be?
I am Karan, I'm a father, and what's most important on my parenting journey is to make sure that my daughter has a safe space to always call home and family to which she can always come.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Thank you, Karan. Thank you for such a heartfelt conversation. Hearing about your journey, your reflections, and everything that you have unlearned and grown into has been very, very inspiring. I know our listeners will take so much from this episode. Thank you for giving us your time and sharing your story with us.
My pleasure. It's so nice to be here and such a nice experience talking to you. Yeah, after such a long time. So we
After
should.
such a long time, yes. For context, it has been so difficult for me to call you Karan, because let me tell our listeners, I have never called this man Karan in my life. He has always been KD for us, short for Karandeep, which is his full name, and Karan is what he goes by these days.
Yeah.
So but actually, surprisingly, I didn't have much difficulty, to be honest. I don't know. It just flowed. Maybe this is what we have grown into.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And to everyone tuning in today, thank you for joining us on this episode of Parenthood. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Your support means the world, and it helps us keep bringing you stories like these. Until next time, this is Neha signing off with a reminder that no matter where you are in your parenting journey, you're doing amazing. Take care and see you next week on Parenthood.